You want to be married, but you also know you're not quite ready. You see men your age settling down while you're still figuring things out. You wonder if you're behind, if you're taking too long, if the woman God has for you is waiting somewhere frustrated that you haven't shown up yet. And the pressure is real. From family asking when you're going to settle down, from society telling you what milestones you should have hit by now, from your own internal clock saying it's time. Here's what I need you to understand. When a man is being prepared for his wife, he's not wasting time. He's being forged. And the preparation isn't optional. It's essential. God is establishing your leadership before he gives you someone to lead. The first thing God is doing while he prepares you for your wife is establishing your leadership. Not positional leadership, not authoritarian leadership, but servant leadership, the kind that Jesus modeled. Because when you get married, you won't just be a husband. You'll be a spiritual leader, a decision maker, a visionary for your home. And that kind of leadership doesn't develop overnight. It's cultivated through years of following God's leadership yourself. Ephesians 5 verse 23 says, "For the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior." Notice the comparison. As Christ is the head of the church. How did Christ lead? Through sacrifice, through service, through laying down his life. That's the standard. And if you're not leading yourself well, if you're not submitting to God's authority, if you're not making decisions based on his word and wisdom, you're not ready to lead a wife. Think about Moses. Before God sent him to lead Israel out of Egypt, where was Moses? In the wilderness for 40 years. Shepherding sheep. Alone. Hidden. Unknown. Why? Because God was breaking the Egyptian prince out of him and building the humble servant leader into him. Moses had to learn to lead sheep before he could lead people. He had to learn to follow God in obscurity before he could lead a nation in visibility. When God is preparing you for your wife, he's testing your leadership in the small things. How do you lead yourself? Can you get up when you don't feel like it? Can you pray when you're tired? Can you fast when you're hungry? Can you turn off the screen when you're tempted? Can you manage your time, your money, your emotions? If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead a family. He's also watching how you lead where you are right now. How do you lead in your workplace? Are you a man of integrity? Do you work with excellence even when no one's watching? How do you lead in your church? Are you serving? Are you mentoring younger men? Are you making yourself available to contribute to the body of Christ? Leadership in marriage doesn't start at the altar. It starts in the daily decisions you make when no one's applauding. And here's what's crucial. Your wife won't need you to control her. She'll need you to cover her. She won't need you to dominate. She'll need you to guide. She won't need you to make all the decisions alone. She'll need you to seek God, seek her input, and make decisions with wisdom and courage. That's spiritual leadership. And God is building that in you right now through every situation where you have to choose between what's easy and what's right, between what's comfortable and what's godly, between what feels good and what's wise. Don't rush this process. Don't try to get married before you know how to lead. Because a woman submitted to God will only submit to a man who's submitted to God. And if you're not under authority, you're not ready to walk in it. God is teaching you provision before he entrusts you with a family. The second thing God is doing while he prepares you for your wife is teaching you provision. Not just financial provision, though that's part of it, but holistic provision, emotional, spiritual, and practical. Because when you become a husband and eventually a father, people will depend on you. And if you don't know how to provide, you'll feel the weight of that responsibility crush you. 1 Timothy 5 verse 8 is clear. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. That's strong language. Provision isn't optional for a man who wants to be married. It's fundamental. And God uses your single season to teach you how to steward resources, manage money, build income, delay gratification, and live within your means. Let's be honest about finances. Can you pay your bills on time? Do you have debt that's out of control? Can you save money, but does it burn a hole in your pocket? Can you tithe faithfully? Can you budget? Can you distinguish between needs and wants? Because if you're financially unstable as a single man, marriage won't fix that. It'll magnify it. You'll just be broke with a wife, and that's not God's design. But provision isn't just money. It's also emotional provision. Can you provide emotional stability? Can you remain calm when she's anxious? Can you be the steady presence when life gets chaotic? Can you comfort without trying to fix? Can you listen without making it about you? Can you provide security through your emotional maturity? These are questions God is answering in your preparation season. Think about Joseph in Genesis. Before he became second in command of Egypt, before he provided for his family during the famine, what did he go through? Betrayal by his brothers, slavery, false accusations, prison, years of hardship. But through it all, God was teaching him how to manage resources, how to steward authority, how to think long-term, how to plan for seasons of lack. And when the time came, Joseph didn't just provide for his immediate family. He provided for an entire nation. God is doing the same thing in you. Every job you work, every dollar you save, every budget you create, every financial decision you make, He's teaching you provision. And He won't bring your wife until He knows you can handle the weight of providing for her and the children you'll have together. This isn't about being rich. It's about being responsible. It's about being a man she can trust to think ahead, plan wisely, and steward resources with the fear of God. And here's what this means practically. If you're 30 years old, still living like you're 18, no savings, no plan, no financial discipline, you're not ready. If you're spending everything you make on things that depreciate while building nothing that lasts, you're not ready. If you're still asking your parents for money instead of building your own financial foundation, you're not ready. God is using this season to teach you provision. Don't waste it. God is breaking patterns of sin before He brings purity into your life. The third thing God is doing while He prepares you for your wife is breaking patterns of sin that would defile your marriage. And let's be specific here: sexual sin, pornography, lust, fornication. These aren't small issues that you can just manage in marriage. They're chains that will destroy your intimacy, your integrity, and your ability to love your wife the way God designed. 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 3-5 says, "It is God's will that you should be sanctified, that you should avoid sexual immorality, that each of you should learn to control your own body in a way that is holy and honorable, not in passionate lust like the pagans who do not know God." Notice, learn to control your own body. That's not automatic. It's learned. And God uses your single season to teach you self-control so that when you're married, you know how to honor your wife with your body, your eyes, your mind, and your heart. If you're still watching pornography, you're not ready for marriage. I don't care how much you love God, how involved you are in church, how successful you're professionally. If you're feeding your mind with pornography, you're training yourself to objectify women. You're creating neural pathways that will make it difficult to be present with your wife. You're setting yourself up for dissatisfaction, comparison, and erectile dysfunction. This isn't scare tactics. This is reality. And God will not release your wife into a situation where she has to compete with pixels on a screen. Think about Samson in Judges. He was anointed by God. He had a calling. He had supernatural strength. But he never dealt with his weakness for women, and it destroyed him. Delilah wasn't the problem. She was the consequence of a pattern he never broke. And when the pattern finally caught up with him, he lost everything: his strength, his sight, his freedom, his dignity. God is using your preparation season to break the pattern. Not manage it, not minimize it. Break it. And that requires more than willpower. It requires community, accountability, confession, sometimes professional help, and consistent surrender to God. You have to be ruthless with sin. Cut off access. Delete apps. Install filters. Find an accountability partner who will actually hold you accountable. Get in a men's group where you can be honest. Stop isolating. Stop hiding. Stop making excuses. And it's not just pornography. It's also how you treat women right now. Are you leading women on emotionally because you like the attention? Are you using dating apps to feed your ego? Are you having conversations you wouldn't want your future wife to know about? Are you entertaining situationships that blur the line between friendship and something more? All of that is training. And if you're training yourself to be dishonest, inconsistent, and self-serving now, that's who you'll be in marriage. God is breaking these patterns now so your marriage can be pure, so your intimacy can be holy, so your wife can trust you, so your conscience can be clear. Don't rush in a marriage with unbroken sin patterns. Deal with them now, because marriage doesn't fix character issues, it exposes them. God is teaching you to hear His voice above all other voices. The fourth thing God is doing while He prepares you for your wife is teaching you to discern His voice above every other voice. Your own desires, societal pressure, family expectations, and even well-meaning advice from friends. Because when it's time to choose your wife, you need to be able to hear God clearly. And that kind of discernment isn't developed in a moment. It's cultivated over years of learning to recognize His voice. John 10 verse 27 says, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me." Listening to God's voice is foundational to following Him. And in marriage, you'll need to hear Him about big decisions. Where to live, when to have children, how to handle conflict, where to serve, how to steward your resources. If you can't hear God's voice now, you won't suddenly hear it when you're married. You'll just make decisions based on emotion, logic, or whoever speaks the loudest. Think about Abraham when God told him to sacrifice Isaac in Genesis 22. That made no sense. It contradicted the promise God had given him. But Abraham had spent years learning to recognize God's voice, to trust it even when it didn't make sense. And because he knew God's voice, he obeyed. And God provided. That's the kind of relationship with God you need, where you can discern His voice in the noise. When God is preparing you for your wife, He'll test whether you're listening to Him or to everyone else. Your boys might tell you she's not attractive enough. Your family might say she doesn't come from the right background. Your logic might say the timing doesn't make sense. But if God says she's the one, you need to be able to hear Him and obey Him above all those other voices. And if you can't do that, you'll second-guess yourself, you'll be swayed by opinions, and you'll miss what God has for you. This is also about learning to hear God in the mundane, not just in the big moments, but in the daily decisions. What job should you take? How should you spend your time? Who should you invest in? What should you say yes to? What should you say no to? If you're making all these decisions based on what feels right without consulting God, you're training yourself to live independently of Him. And that independence will carry into your marriage. God is teaching you to pray about everything, to seek Him first, to wait for His peace before you move, to recognize when He's saying no, even when you want to hear yes, to discern when He's saying wait, even when everyone else is saying go. This is spiritual maturity, and it's non-negotiable for a man who wants to lead a family. God is building your emotional intelligence and communication skills. The fifth thing God is doing while He prepares you for your wife is developing your emotional intelligence and communication skills. Because love isn't just about feelings, it's about connection. And connection requires the ability to understand emotions, express yourself clearly, listen actively, and navigate conflict without destroying each other. Most men aren't naturally wired this way, which is why God uses the preparation season to build these skills intentionally. Proverbs 18 verse 13 says, "To answer before listening, that is folly and shame." How many arguments could be avoided if men learned to listen first and respond second? How many misunderstandings could be prevented if men learned to communicate clearly instead of expecting their wives to read their minds? How much intimacy could be deepened if men learned to be emotionally present instead of emotionally distant? Emotional intelligence means you can identify what you're feeling and why. It means you can regulate your emotions instead of being controlled by them. It means you can empathize with what someone else is feeling without making it about you. And it means you can have hard conversations without shutting down, blowing up, or walking away. These skills don't come naturally to most men. They're developed through intentional growth. God uses your current relationships to teach you these skills. How do you handle conflict with your family? Do you avoid it? Do you explode? Or do you address it with maturity? How do you communicate with your friends? Are you honest? Are you vulnerable? Or do you keep everything surface level? How do you respond when someone hurts you? Do you hold grudges? Do you shut down? Or do you process it and extend grace? Think about how Jesus communicated. He spoke truth, but He spoke it in love. He confronted sin, but He offered grace. He listened to people's pain without dismissing it. He asked questions to understand before he gave answers. He was fully present in every conversation. That's the model. And God is shaping you into that kind of communicator. Your future wife will need you to understand her without her having to explain everything. She'll need you to communicate your thoughts and feelings clearly instead of making her guess. She'll need you to listen to her heart, not just her words. She'll need you to validate her emotions even when you don't understand them. She'll need you to apologize when you're wrong without being defensive. She'll need you to pursue her emotionally, not just physically. And all of that requires emotional intelligence that God is building in you right now. If you're the kind of man who shuts down when emotions get intense, God is working on that. If you're the kind of man who can't articulate what you're feeling, God is developing that. If you're the kind of man who thinks talking about feelings is weakness, God is correcting that. Because emotional intelligence isn't optional in marriage, it's essential. God is surrounding you with men who will sharpen you. The sixth thing God is doing while he prepares you for your wife is positioning you around men who will sharpen you, challenge you, and hold you accountable. Because you can't become the man you need to be in isolation. You need iron to sharpen iron. You need brothers who will speak truth to you, call out your blind spots, and push you toward godliness. And God uses your preparation season to connect you with those men. Proverbs 27 verse 17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Notice it doesn't say iron sharpens wood or iron sharpens clay. Iron sharpens iron. That means the sharpening process is sometimes uncomfortable. Sometimes it sparks. Sometimes it heats up. But that friction is what makes both pieces sharper. And if you're not around men who challenge you, you'll stay dull. Think about David and Jonathan in 1 Samuel. Jonathan could have seen David as a threat. David was anointed to be the next king, which meant Jonathan wouldn't inherit his father's throne. But instead of competing, Jonathan sharpened David. He protected him. He encouraged him. He spoke truth to him. And David became a better man because of that friendship. When God is preparing you for your wife, pay attention to the men he's bringing into your life. The older men who've been married for decades and can give you wisdom. The peers who are also pursuing God and can walk the journey with you. The younger men you can mentor and learn from through teaching. These relationships aren't random. They're strategic. God is using them to shape you. But here's the key. You have to be humble enough to receive correction. If every time a brother speaks truth to you, you get defensive, you shut down, you make excuses, you're blocking the sharpening process. Proverbs 27 verse 6 says, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." Your real brothers will wound you with truth because they love you enough to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. This also means you need to stop isolating. Stop thinking you can figure everything out on your own. Stop hiding your struggles because you're afraid of judgment. Stop pretending you have it all together when you're falling apart. Get in a men's group. Find a mentor. Build authentic friendships where you can be honest about where you're struggling. Because the enemy wants you isolated. That's where he can destroy you. But God wants you surrounded by brothers who will fight for you, pray for you, and push you toward the man you're called to be. Your wife will benefit from the men who shaped you. The wisdom they poured into you will overflow into your marriage. The accountability they provided will keep you grounded. The example they set will guide you. Don't underestimate the power of godly male relationships. They're part of how God prepares you. God is aligning your vision with his purpose for your life. The seventh and final thing God is doing while he prepares you for your wife is aligning your personal vision with his larger purpose for your life. Because marriage isn't just about companionship. It's about partnership in fulfilling the calling God has placed on your life. And before he brings your wife, he needs to establish what you're building so she can join you in building it, not wondering what you're supposed to be building together. Proverbs 29 verse 18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." KJV. A man without vision is a man without direction. And a man without direction can't lead a family. God is using your preparation season to clarify your calling, your purpose, your assignment. What are you building? What kingdom work are you advancing? What legacy are you creating? These aren't questions you figure out after you get married. You figure them out before. Think about Nehemiah. Before he rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem, God gave him a vision, a burden, a clear assignment. And when he got to Jerusalem, he didn't show up saying, "I don't know what we're doing, but let's figure it out together." He showed up with a plan. He rallied people around a vision. He led with clarity. That's what your wife needs. A man who knows where he's going so she can walk with him toward that destination. When God is preparing you for your wife, he's asking you, what are you passionate about? What breaks your heart? What are you uniquely gifted to do? What do you sense God calling you? What impact do you want to make? What are you building that will outlive you? These questions require solitude, prayer, fasting, and honest reflection. And they can't be answered in a weekend. They're revealed over time as you walk with God. Your wife isn't coming to give you purpose. She's coming to partner with you in the purpose God has already given you. She's not coming to figure out your vision. She's coming to amplify it. And if you don't know what you're building, you'll spend the first years of marriage trying to figure out your identity and direction instead of building something significant together. This is also about stewardship. What has God already given you that you're responsible for? Your job, your ministry, your gifts, your influence. Are you stewarding them well? Are you faithful in the small things? Are you building something, or are you just existing? Because God doesn't promote people who aren't faithful with what they already have. And he won't entrust you with a wife and family if you're not stewarding your current assignments well. Think about this practically. When you meet your wife, what will she be joining? A man with direction? A man with purpose? A man who's building something that matters? Or a man who's still trying to figure out what he wants to be when he grows up? The difference is significant. And God is using this season to establish that clarity so that when she comes, you're not bringing her into confusion. You're inviting her into a vision that's already in motion. If you're a man being prepared for your wife right now, I need you to hear this. Don't rush the process. Every delay is development. And when God finally brings your wife, you won't just be ready, you'll be prepared. You'll be the man she's been praying for. That's worth the wait. And that's the man God is making you into right now. If this message challenged you, subscribe for more biblical truth about manhood, leadership, and becoming the man God called you to be. God bless you.